Paranormal Buzz Radio is proud to present Girls vs. Ghost Media's Spooky Talk with Madison Smith from Madison Paranormal. You can find Spooky Talk every other Sunday, 6 Eastern, 5 Central, right here live on Paranormal Buzz Radio. Be sure to join in the live interactive chat by going to Spreaker.com or downloading the Spreaker app for all devices.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of Paranormal Buzz Radio or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is strictly prohibited. For information on everything Paranormal Buzz Radio has to offer, visit our website, paranormalbuzzradio.com. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Listener discretion is advised.
Here's your host, Madison Smith. And here's your host, Madison Smith.
Good, thank you. I just fell out of bed.
Good job. So, shall we start, or?
I'm ready whenever you are.
Okay. So Richard, the first time that me and you met, I could tell from your accent that you were not a Midwest native. So first question, where are you originally from?
No, you're right. I'm not from the Midwest. I'm from back east. A few thousand miles back east. So keep heading towards New York. Keep going. And you end up in a city called Leicester, England, which is where I came from.
Wow. Magic. So I saw an article that you love for ghosty little things. Started at a young age. When did you first have your first experience, and where was it at?
So, I didn't have a ghostly experience until I was an adult, and I started looking for this kind of stuff. But my grandparents owned a house that was haunted, and I would spend the weekends there growing up, hearing all the ghost stories about this place, and that fascinated me. So we had no ghost shows on TV. There was no Ghost Hunters or Ghost Adventures or Most Haunted or anything like that. So that sent me to the library to read all of the paranormal books that I could.
All right. To be honest, I would love not to have ghost adventures and not know the show. All right. So with your grandparents' house being haunted, how cool would that be? Legit, I would love to live in a haunted house, just saying.
Yeah, it was one of those hauntings that it kind of fizzled out. It was at its most active during the Second World War, during the 1940s, and then it just seemed to fizzle out when my dad and his brothers and sisters, my aunts and uncles, they all grew up and they moved out, and the ghost just kind of left. But still, you never know when that kind of stuff's going to pick up again. So I was always kind of hoping that something strange would happen to me there, but it never did.
Well, at least you could say that you lived in a haunted house.
That's true.
Yeah.
And without that house, I would not be writing books today or researching ghosts.
Exactly. So, hey, the house does not have to be, throwing things and everything. The ghosts don't have to be throwing things or talking. They just have to kind of be hey. They just have to know that you're there,
Absolutely.
So, yeah. So, did your family all understand how you wanted to learn about the paranormal? Or, did you have to hide it from them, basically?
No, they thought it was a pretty harmless interest. It got me reading about history, and it got me anything that gets you to the library when you're young is good, right?
Yeah.
Actually, anything that gets you to the library is good. But at that age, when I was a boy, that gave me a lifelong reading habit, and it's one that I can't shake to this day.
Okay, so how long ago did you move to the United States, and why did you move?
I came over to the US in 1999 to work for a computer company.
All
And
right.
so I came over and very much enjoyed Colorado, where I moved to. And I
All
spent
right.
15 years working with computers, but I ended up becoming a volunteer firefighter and a paramedic. So
All right.
I ditched the computer career a few years in and went to a fire academy and then went to paramedic school, and that's my living today.
Wow, that's a lot. And like the sad thing is I still believe that negative zero exists and you're like, yeah, I'm a firefighter and a paramedic. So yeah. So like I'm trying to disappoint in myself, but at the same time, good job.
Why are you disappointed
Just
in
good job.
yourself?
Because I believe in negative zero exists.
You're going to have to explain that to me and the listeners a little bit.
Oh my God. Do I have to?
Yeah, you open that can of worms now.
Oh, fine. Okay. So one day at school, we were having this thing, and the teacher was like, okay, everybody, grab a Post-it and write a number on it. I wrote negative zero.
Okay.
And she was like, Maddie, that's not a number. And I was just like, yes, it is. I can prove it. So now, every day that I come into school, I'm like, negative zero is a number, and I'm going to prove it. And I've come up with different theories for it. Just trying to prove that it exists.
How was your teacher enjoying that?
She hates me.
I don't think she does, I'm sure.
I know. But like in my eyes, she's just, oh my God, Maddie, negative zero does not exist. Okay. And I'm like, no, it does. It does. I can prove it to you. I'm going to find a theory and I'm going to show you that it does. Okay. So yeah, still can't make her believe it though.
Oh, well, it's an interesting saga that's still going on then.
Yeah. And I swear I'm going to prove it to her. I don't care how many years it takes. I'm going to prove it.
I like your style.
I know. So what was the first name of your first group that you had?
The first group I worked in was back in the UK, and it was called Spectre, which sounds like a terrorist group or something, doesn't it? But the guy that started it, let's see if I can remember what this stood for. Search for physical evidence and compilations of theories into apparitions, which is so I could never have thought of that. But it was a guy called Andrew Wright who in the mid-90s was kind of the go-to guy in my area for ghosts and hauntings. Newspapers would contact him, and sometimes even the police would contact him and say, hey, this house has strange things going on. There's nothing we can do about it. It's not like we can go arrest the ghost. Would you like to go take a look? So I learned a lot of the stuff that I still rely on from Andrew. I'll always owe him a debt for that.
All right. So when did it form? When did that group form?
I think it was a few years before I joined, and I joined in 1995. So early 1990s. But Andrew worked as a solo investigator before that, and I think he's still kicking around today doing the same sort of thing.
All right. And then how many people were in the group?
So it would vary. We would have generally no more than a handful of people, but sometimes 3 or 4, and sometimes 7 or 8, depending on the size of the location. You know, I think that even today you have to tailor the size of the group you use to the location. Like if you did Villisca, which I've done, I'm sure you have, you know, if you have more than 3 or 4 people, it's almost a waste of time there because all you hear is each other. But then if you go to Waverly Hills, you can take 30 or 40 people and still have room to spare.
Yeah. Like Waverly, like I've never been there, but I've seen pictures and videos, you know. That place is huge. Like
it is huge. I went there just once and I enjoyed walking the hallways.
I just can't go there because I'm under 18, so that's kind of sucks. But hey, that's just more to look up to.
Exactly. There are liability issues and stuff like that, right? But one day it'll still be there.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. Okay, so we got 2 questions in the comments. Both of them are from Darren Bus. Darren Bus.
Hey, Darren.
Thanks. Okay. So the question is, what is the weirdest thing that has happened to you on an investigation?
Oh, that's a good one. That's a great question. I think the weirdest thing probably is getting touched by something on the arm when I was at Fox Hollow Farm, which is a location that used to belong to a serial murderer, the I-70 Strangler, and still paranormally active to this day. So when I went to Fox Hollow Farm to research my book about the place, I went to some of the hotspot areas, which were supposed to be very active, and one was an old pump room. And I can still feel to this day, I felt fingers running down the inside of my arm. It was the creepiest thing ever.
No, thank you.
Yeah, it was a little, it shook me up a little bit. I was not expecting it at all.
I would have had to walk outside and gone and get food or something and then come back.
Well, but that's what we're in for, right? We look for the paranormal, and once it finds you, sometimes you have to stick with it and see where it goes.
Exactly. I've never really been touched, but if I get touched, I swear I'm either going to be screaming or I'm going to be running. And I'm going to come back being like, hey, I'm sorry.
I'm pretty sure that give it a little time and you'll beat that. We all have that desire from time to time, right? But when you're the investigator, you don't get to leave screaming.
I know, but that just shakes me up. I do not want to be touched. Just thinking of something invisible that's there and you cannot see it touching you. Mm-hmm. No, thank you.
I can understand that.
You can't do anything about it except run, because you can't see it, you can't hurt it, you can't push it away or anything. It's just there.
Well, true, but and I think that we get fear when we don't understand something, but at the same time, the paranormal investigator's job is to try and bring some light to some of those questions. So, it's a case of be careful what you wish for. If you're going to go look for the paranormal, it might come looking for you sometime. You have to be ready for that.
Yeah, sure. Okay. You've convinced me not to scream, but I'm still going to be running.
All right. 50-50.
Yeah. All right, so another question from Darren Buzz is, what is your favorite piece of equipment?
I love this question, Darren. Thanks for asking, because we live in a day and age when everybody loves their tech, right? We like our EMF meters, and we like our SLS cameras, or some people do. And there are all these gadgets, and I think a lot of people are put off from starting to investigate by themselves because of the big price tag. But the truth is, you don't need a lot of tech or equipment. So I think still the best piece of equipment we have as an investigator is the human brain. It's what allows us to sense some of the things that are going on, to experience them, but it's also what allows us to think about natural logical explanations and debunk them, which is just as important.
Yeah. All right. And then one more from Darren Buss. What are your views on psychic mediums, and what do they bring to an investigation?
It's an interesting day to bring that up, isn't it? Especially those that are in the UK. We know that Derek Licora, who was quite well known, just passed away yesterday. So my take on psychic mediums is that I've worked with a number of them over the years, and some of them have actually impressed me. It's a small number, but some of them have. And others, I think, have not impressed me remotely. And then it's a spectrum, right? So I like to give them the opportunity to, I don't want to say prove themselves, but to do what they do. And if we can get results that we can then verify through other independent means, like checking historical records, I think that can be useful. But I feel kind of sorry for mediums, and I'll tell you why. I think that for those that are genuine, there's this expectation out there that they can switch this ability on in the same way that we can pick up the phone and, just hit dial and have a clear conversation. And I think for the genuine psychics, the genuine mediums, that communication is a lot less clear and a lot more muddled. And so I think it must be frustrating for us to have these expectations, right? If only there was like a phone line to the other side, that would be amazing. But I think the few genuine mediums are the closest thing we have.
Yeah. Okay. And then another question from Darren Buss. If you came across a full body apparition, who would you want it to be and what would you say?
Oh, that's a great question, Darren. You know what? I would like to see the full body apparition of Sir Winston Churchill. Do you know who that is, Maddie?
I think maybe.
He's one of history's great leaders. He was the Prime Minister of the UK during the Second World War. And there's a great ghost story surrounding him that when he was visiting the White House, visiting President Roosevelt, I believe, when he was in the White House, he was taking a bath in the Lincoln bedroom. And I know that you know who Abraham Lincoln is.
I know that.
So he was taking a bath in the Lincoln bedroom and he saw the apparition of Sir Abraham Lincoln. I'm sorry, not Sir Abraham Lincoln. He saw the apparition of Abraham Lincoln appear right in front of him. And Churchill was supposedly so excited, he stood up in his bath completely naked. And Lincoln looked at him and disappeared. So I've often thought, I've often thought it would be cool to see his ghost.
Yeah, like the White House, like that's a really cool place. Like I want to investigate there, but I don't think it's ever going to happen. Just saying.
Yeah,
like Abraham Lincoln, like all the ghost stories.
That would be everybody's favorite bucket list place, wouldn't it? That'd have to be right up there with the places we'd all like to investigate.
Yeah, because like just meeting Abraham Lincoln, just talking to him, that would be awesome. For one,
Okay.
And then just being in there would be number two. Like that would just be awesome,
Yeah, it would, wouldn't it?
Yeah, because like all the ghost stories surrounding it, that would be awesome.
Yeah, I hope one day somebody gets to. I know Dan Aykroyd asked if he could investigate, and I don't think they said yes.
Probably not. But Okay, so another question from Darren Buss. If you had a chance to build a device for your investigations, what would it be and why?
Oh, you know what, Darren? I wish I had the kind of technical ability to build equipment like that. Guys like Bill Chappell that are able to do that kind of thing, that engineers just leave me in awe. I wish I'd paid more attention in electronics classes and stuff like that. But I just don't have that technical know-how. I can barely put up a shelf.
Wow. Okay. That's surprising. Never knew that. Like, I can barely reach the top of a shelf, but hey.
Hey, give
at least
it
I
time.
can kind of put them up.
There you go.
Like, hey, I can at least kind of put them up. Not really, but hey, it's a work in progress, okay? Okay. And then one of the good questions from Darren Buzz that I think that you're really going to like. What are your views on Ouija boards?
Oh, that is a good question. Thanks again, Darren. I know Ouija boards get a bad rap, don't they? I've been to events and I've noticed that depends on which part of the world or country you're in, but there are those places that think Ouija boards are this kind of doorway to hell, and all kinds of negative things will happen if you use them. And I think a Ouija board's no different, or a talking board, I think is a better term because Ouija's the brand name. But a talking board is no different than really calling out, looking for EVPs, or using the human pendulum or the Estes method or anything like that. They're all attempts to try and get some kind of spirit entity to communicate with you, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason that I think the Ouija board has such a bad rap comes from Hollywood. You know, there's a whole bunch of those kind of movies, which I hope you haven't seen, that have Ouija boards being this, portal to hell and stuff of that nature. Good friend of mine, a guy called Robert Murch, runs the Talking Board Historical Society Museum in Denver, and he has literally hundreds of boards in his house. Hundreds. The guy's bathroom. Oh, you should see this place, and you should visit it if you're ever in Denver. but the guy's bathroom has something like 50 talking boards on the walls, you know? And I said to him, Robert, is your place haunted? And he's like, no, we don't have weird things happen here. So if a man with hundreds of Ouija boards has no paranormal activity in that place, I think that the fears many people have surrounding them are a little bit overblown. That being said, I don't want to disrespect anybody's beliefs. And I do think that when you're going to open a door, as you really are trying to do with a talking board, you need to be careful to close it again properly when you're done and to protect yourself.
Mm-hmm. And then another thing is, you just mentioned some of the methods, like the human pendulum. Can you explain to us, like, more in depth what that is?
Yeah, so for those that haven't used the human pendulum, it's a method of having a volunteer stand in between several observers, and some people believe that spirit entities are able to use them as a kind of pendulum, pushing their body backwards and forwards, left and right, in response to yes/no questions. And the skeptical explanation for that is that we are all to a certain degree susceptible to suggestion. So as we're asked questions, our own subconscious is making us move. And that's a theory for how spirit boards work, according to some people too. Others believe that genuinely spirits are pushing the human pendulum in a certain direction to answer questions. So I think that both of them are very good possible explanations. And I've seen cases in which I think one is true, and then different cases in which I think the other is true. So it's kind of a cool technique.
All right, can you tell us your coolest experience doing that method, if that's all right?
Yeah, I mean, we did a session recently at Old South Pittsburgh Old South Pittsburgh Hospital in Tennessee, which is a great location if you're ever in that neck of the woods. You should absolutely go visit it if you're a paranormal enthusiast. And we were getting responses from people up by the old morgue in that hospital, where I would bring in a group of people and we would do the pendulum, and then I would bring in a second group that hadn't heard any of what just happened with the first group, and we would get similar answers. And then the same happened with a third group. So when that happens, it argues against there being, a bias where somebody just overheard what was happening and is mimicking the results, and makes it seem more likely to be paranormal. So that was pretty cool.
So I just have one question. So in the old hospital that you're talking about, wouldn't the morgue be downstairs?
That is a good question. The answer is no. And here's why. This hospital didn't actually have a morgue as such. And it wasn't a huge hospital, so it didn't need a whole bunch of storage space. This was a relatively small county-based hospital. So what they did was they just used a small storage area for storing the bodies. And one of the kickers is that it wasn't that far away from where the waiting room for the emergency department was. It was just behind a wall that faced the waiting room to the ED. So most morgues, you're right, though, are in basements.
Okay. Like, if I just walked into that place and was told that a morgue was right next to me, I would move across the room. But if I did have my gear, I'd be like, hey, any ghost?
We got some very good interactions in that old morgue. Some good physical symptoms. We had a couple of people in there that became short of breath as they were just sitting in there, and we were running an EVP session, and a couple of very interesting EVPs. So it's a really cool place if you're ever out there in Tennessee.
All right. Hey, another place that I want to go. Dad, if you're listening to this, we're going to Tennessee. Haha. At least, I hope so.
Add that to your bucket list.
Yeah. Man, we're going to have a lot of money and gas, just saying.
When you get a job, that's what overtime's for.
True. But for now, that's what my dad's wallet's for.
I hope you appreciate your dad. I've met him. He's a good guy.
I do.
Okay, good.
I know. Okay, so what's the first place you have investigated in the U.S., and what was your favorite part of it?
Oh, that's a great question. I'm going to put my mind back now about 20 years. It was a hotel. You know what? It was a hotel called the Hotel Boulderado in Boulder.
Oh,
It was one of those kind of old, grand, like Wild West era hotels.
oh, that's
And,
cool.
and I'll never forget that I got a great EVP there. Um, at the top of the staircase, there is a big oil painting. And I was taking an EVP there about 3 o'clock in the morning and got a voice come back that just said one word, but it was Class A and it said the word careful. And the hotel has a room where a couple died of a murder-suicide pact. And I actually got married. My wife and I got married at the Boulderado and spent our honeymoon night in that room because, ghost people do things like that, don't we?
Yeah, makes sense.
So it was kind of cool.
By the way,
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say it was kind of cool
Finish.
that we went there for an investigation and ended up getting married there.
So my dad said, thanks, Richard. Just saying.
Oh, you're welcome,
So,
man.
yeah.
You're welcome. Make all checks
Respect.
payable to Richard Estep, P.O. Box.
Wow. Just a wow. Okay, Dad, we gotta give him a tip of $20 or just 15. Who knows? How much do you want?
So you're asking, it's a negotiation now, is it? Let's go into triple
Yes, I don't know.
digits. How much is the newest piece of Star Wars Lego? However much that costs.
Okay, Dad, make it out to him. Okay. Thanks. I got you.
Appreciate it, Maddie.
Okay, so I know that you have done a lot of investigations across the Midwest and you wrote a lot of books about them. What is your top 5 places?
Oh man, that's brutal. It's a good question, but you know what? It kind of changes in the same way that when I ask people, what's your favorite movie or book, like that will sometimes change. I love Malvern Manor though. And I love Malvern Manor, number one, because it's a cool location and the stories behind it are cool and the ghosts there with their unique personalities are cool. But also the people, I've really like Iowans, like people from Iowa, some of my favorite people now. And I've made so many great dear friends in Iowa. Yeah. So I usually need very little prompting to come back to Iowa. But people like Sarah and Josh and yourself, and Ashley and Kat over at the Squirrel Cage, like some of my favorite people are Iowans. So I got to say I adore Farrar Elementary as well, and the guys that run that place. Farrar, people like Will and Jacqueline and Jonah, some of my favorite human beings as well. Yeah. And it's that cool thing, isn't it, where you meet someone for the first time and you just instantly know that they're your people, they're your kind of people, right? And I've gotten that a lot with Iowa locations. So Farrar's right up there as well, and Jim and Nancy that run that place are wonderful people. So Farrar, Malvern, Squirrel Cage, I adore, even though I didn't get a lot of great paranormal activity there. I love the history and again the cool folks that take care of the Squirrel Cage. So those would be, I think, my top 3. But I also love Villisca, Johnny Hauser, one of the greatest guys out there, and as I'm sure you know, Johnny is kind of an inspiration to all of us in the field. So Villisca and Johnny kind of go hand in hand. And then I'm really looking forward to Edinburgh Manor. That's on my 2020 list of places to visit.
Yeah, I've been to Edinburgh before. It was really cool. It's a really big place.
It is?
Yeah, let's see. How do I explain it? It's just like Malvern, but like 2 or 3 Malverns.
Wow. I don't know that I can handle 2 or 3 Malverns. One's good enough. But I'll have to look forward to it.
Yeah, it's a really cool place, not gonna lie.
Oh, good to know.
What exactly are you looking up to for there?
How do you mean? You mean why am I going?
No, let's see. Why haven't you gone already?
Oh, so many places, so little vacation time.
True.
Right? I only have so many vacation days in the year for these road trips, and I usually go to Iowa with with some good friends of mine on a road trip, guys like Stephen and Eric and Jill and people like that, or Jason and Linda from Death State Paranormal. Those are my friends, and we have to synchronize our schedules to get out there and experience this stuff. So, but it's cool because it gives me a good reason to keep coming back.
True. Okay, so we know that you write books, right? Like, you're an author. So, what are your favorite authors that you look up to?
Great question. You know what? I look up to anyone that ever finishes a book, first of all, and puts it out. Like, it's a challenge to write and finish a book. So anyone that puts out a book, my hat goes off to. But I've got so many favorites, it's ridiculous. In the paranormal field, I'm looking at my bookshelf now. You know, and at one end of the spectrum, you have Houdini, who wrote books like A Magician Among the Spirits, where he tried to expose fraudulent mediums. So you have people that are very, very skeptical. And then at the opposite end, you have folks like Peter Underwood, who was a renowned ghost hunter, as he liked to call himself, and just wrote, I think, just so many books. And I would say he's my biggest role model. And he's not well known in the States. So if you're an American listener and you really want some good classic paranormal reading, Peter Underwood, his books are out there on Kindle, and they're pretty reasonably priced. They're on Audible. And this guy was active throughout the mid and late parts of the 20th century. And he was the last of the gentleman ghost hunters. You know, he was this guy that looked like your history teacher. He had on this tweed jacket, and he would be very kind, and he would walk around doing seances at all these really cool haunted locations.
Well, you can, like, just from my experience, my history teacher looks nothing like that. My history teacher, he legit wears Star Wars, like, every single day.
I like his style.
So, exactly. I think that he has Star Wars shoes. Like, not sure if he does. But
he's a history teacher, right? And as we all know, Star Wars took place a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So I figure he can get away with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, like, half of his room is just covered in Star Wars posters, and I'm like, oh my god.
Yeah, oh my god.
Like, one day, I'm
just half of it? What about the other half?
Oh, he also likes the Hulk. So, like, he has his huge cardboard cutout of the Hulk in the corner of the room.
Really?
Yeah. But me and him still get along somehow.
Well, that's one of those things, right? We all have to respect other people's right to like what they want and like what they don't. Because I think as a paranormal community, there is a lot of backbiting and backstabbing and a lot of dislike and stuff, and that's just the world we live in today, and I think it's a great shame. So I really like it when we can all say, you know, maybe this isn't your kind of thing, but maybe this isn't my kind of thing, but I'm glad you enjoy it, and you like what you like, and I'll be free to like what I like.
Yeah, I don't really care that he likes the Hulk. I'm not really big on it. I don't even like Marvel or DC, just to be honest. But I like Star Wars, and he likes it too, so every once in a while, we just talk about it. We're like, yeah.
Common ground through Star Wars. I love that.
Mm-hmm. So, what are some of your places that you want to go to? Like, bucket list places?
Oh, well, you already talked about one. You already mentioned the White House.
Yeah.
But, of course, nobody's ever going to get there, are they? For me, Maddie...
Unless you become president.
The odds are zero for me because I wasn't born in this country. Best I could do would be VP. But I think the one that I've always wanted to go to and couldn't is Alcatraz. You know, it's a haunted island. I mean, how cool is that? Haunted prisons are fascinating anyway. I have a good friend called Wes who runs the Correctional Officers Paranormal Society in Canada. He's a prison guard or a corrections officer, I should say. And, so his thing is haunted prisons. And I think I would love to go with him to Alcatraz and experience that. Wouldn't you? What's your bucket list place?
My bucket list, for one, Alcatraz, of course. And let's see. I also want to go to every time I just forget the name.
Okay.
Darn. Thing is, we mentioned it in here already.
What kind of place is it?
The place that I couldn't go to because I'm not 18.
Oh, Waverly Hills.
Yeah, Waverly Hills Sanatorium. I really want to go there.
It is a very cool place to visit, for sure. Just to walk around it could take you all night.
Yeah. Like, I did this presentation last year for health class. It was like, oh yeah, these are my hobbies. I had pictures of Waverly Hills on this one slide that was like titled my bucket list of ghost investigating places. And I listed like all of them.
Well, I
and
like
people
that.
Were like everybody's faces, they were so confused. But my teacher was just like, why do you do this?
Well, and you know, I think it's a good question for us all to ask ourselves, right? We're a little bit strange. I mean, most people spend their vacations on the beach, or relaxing by a pool, or taking a cruise or something like that. But you and me and the people that are listening in, we're the sort of people that spend our free time in old haunted places. The kind of places that are dusty and falling apart and abandoned, trying to talk to dead people. So it's not exactly normal, and that's okay. As long as folks are okay with what we do, as long as folks don't try and tear us down, it's whatever they're into is cool as well. But I get why they wouldn't understand it.
Yeah, like my friends, they really support me in it. They're like whenever I come back from one, they're like, so did you get anything? And those are like my really close friends.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that she's probably not going to listen to this, but shout out to my best friend, Cameron Thomas. She supports me in all of this, and she's a really good friend because she's always there for my back.
Big shout
Same
out
with
to Cameron.
Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Same with Morgan Hershey, because that's what I call her, because I never can pronounce her last name. So yeah, if they ever come back and listen to this, I'd really like to say thank you for being my friends, and thank you for really being there for me through all of this, and yeah.
That's really sweet of you.
Yeah. I actually freaking whew, emotional. Okay. Back to the show. Okay. Quite confirmed, Darren Buss again. So thank you, Darren Buss. Thank you, by the way. Thanks. Okay. What's the one object in the world you would never want to be haunted? Haunted. Why can't I speak?
What's the one object in the world that I would never want to be haunted?
Yes.
Oh, that's easy. It's got to be a toilet, right? Because otherwise, where would you go? And also, like I did run into a haunted toilet once. I used to do ghost tours at the Stanley Hotel up in Estes Park, and that was the inspiration for The Shining by Stephen King.
Yeah.
And underneath the concert hall, we actually have a haunted ladies' room, a haunted bathroom in there. And I was so disappointed because I don't know if you watch the Harry Potter movies or read the books, but I thought haunted toilet has to be Moaning Myrtle, Turns out it wasn't, though.
Oh my god. Last nail. Like, the one thing that I would never want to be haunted is bacon, just because that's my favorite food.
Well, you'd think it could be, right? Because, I mean, something died to give it to you, so...
I know, a pig did.
I've never tried running an EVP session on bacon, though.
Is there any pig there? Like, oh my god. It's actually there. Guys, it's talking? Why is the bacon talking?
Yeah, bacon talking is kind of a nightmare.
Exactly. Like, I never want my precious bacon to be haunted.
No, and I don't have a conversation with my lunch either.
Yeah, me neither. I don't want to be like, so how was your day? Good. Okay, now I'm just going to eat you. Wait, what? Like, no. Food stays food, Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Okay. Let's see. So, when did you actually start writing? And what was your first ever book?
I started writing in 2014, and my first book was basically a case book of some of my favorite haunted locations. It was called In Search of the Paranormal, and it still is out there. People are still reading it. But it really was my story of growing up in that haunted house initially, and then going on to investigate haunted places in England and in the United States. So it was my first book out, and that means it's probably my favorite book of all time. I would have written it differently now that I've written a few other books and I've learned a few things. But it's always got that special place in my heart, you know?
Mm-hmm. All right. So what actually started your interest in eating?
What started my interest in eating? The fact that bacon exists.
I cannot English today. I cannot English.
Oh, the irony, huh?
I'm so sorry, folks. I cannot English today.
That's all right, because I'm doing double English. I actually am English, so we'll cancel each other out.
Okay. So, what started your fascination with books? The farthest word away from eating?
Yeah, I'll definitely. What started my fascination with books? Well, I'll tell you. When I was a kid, I was a kid that was picked on, and so rather than run around outside, because there were bullies back then as there are now, I would prefer to stay inside and read and escape into all these kind of fantasy worlds. So, you know, the Lord of the Rings and things like that. I was really at my happiest getting lost in the pages of those kind of books and reading ghost books, of course, and those kind of things. So that's what started my fascination. And I love books to this day. My favorite thing to do in the world is on a snowy day, sit in front of the fire with a good book while it's snowing outside and just lose myself in a book, you know?
Yeah. I like reading. Mm-hmm. This is my newest book, The Ghostbusters.
Cool.
It's almost an inch thick. And it talks about every movie, every series, and everything about it. Even the toys that came out.
Oh, is it by Daniel somebody?
Let's see. Written by Daniel Wallace.
Yeah, that's right. I have Daniel's Star Wars books too, and I love that Ghostbusters book. It's a great read.
Yeah, I also have Tobin's Spirit Guide in my backpack. I take that to school every day.
Tobin's Spirit Guide's classic, isn't it?
Yeah, and then somebody at school, are you planning on doing a ritual? What? That's a ritual book, right? No, it's...
It's not a ritual book.
No, they know that I did it, so they thought I was going to do something satanic, like summoning a demon in the bathroom or something. I don't know.
Demon in the bathroom, huh?
Yeah. Because, that's the only place,
We're back to haunted toilets, Madison. You know that, right?
Yeah. Legit, though. All the security, now that I think about it, all the security guards in our school are guys. So, girls, they have the freedom to just go in the bathroom and, never come out.
You could do a lot of reading over the course of a day if you did that.
Exactly. Oh, my teachers, stop reading your book. Excuse me. I'm trying to increase my English. Because I can't do English, okay? I can't English right now. I need to increase my English.
You do. I didn't realize English was a verb.
Exactly. Okay. So, before we move on, would you like to give out your social medias?
Sure. For anyone that would like to come by and say hello, come see my website at www.richardestep.net. And I'm also on Facebook as Richard Estep Author, Twitter as EstepR, and Instagram, I think it's just Richard Estep. But I love talking to folks that are into the paranormal and those kind of things, so swing by and say hi.
All right. So, do you like games?
Games of all sorts. I love video games. I love board games. I'm a huge nerd when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Okay. Well, I have a game on Spoopy Talk.
Mm-hmm.
Rapid Fire with Maddie.
Okay.
So the point of the game is to answer all the questions as fast as you can and see your time.
Okay.
Which you aren't going to be the slowest because I already know the slowest, which is I can't even remember. Rob, he took like 7 minutes just to get through.
Rob from Paranormal Mania?
Yeah, he took forever.
Big shout out to Rob, though. He's good people.
Yeah, he's very good. He's a very good man, but he took forever because he was explaining each and every detail. And I'm like, this is a game. Mm-hmm. Okay, you don't have to explain everything. So, yeah. Now I just make fun of him every little thing that we do. So, yeah. Okay, so are you ready?
Ready when you are.
Okay. Dogs or cats?
Oh, that's awful. I both, but dogs if I had to choose.
Favorite experience so far?
My favorite experience so far ever, going to Disney World on Star Wars night.
Okay. Most scary place you visited?
Most scary place I visited?
Yes.
Oh, that's a good one, isn't it? Scariest, like haunted place?
Doesn't have to be.
Okay, I'll tell you. One of the scariest places I visited, I was just at Fort Mifflin in Pennsylvania doing a paranormal investigation there. And at 3 a.m, we went to find a diner for something to eat. And it turned out the diner was a crime scene. It was all shut down with like police crime scene tape. Then we heard like gunshots in the night. So that was a pretty scary neighborhood.
No thanks. That's scarier than the freaking investigation part. Jeez.
Yeah, it really was. We have my friend Randy to thank for that. He wanted to get breakfast at 3 a.m.
Oh, good job, Randy. I'm sorry. Okay. So, thoughts of me when you first met me?
Mm-hmm.
What were your thoughts?
My thoughts were... trying to think back to the first spot we met. Was it at Malvern?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would have to be. I'd already talked to you, like, I think briefly online before that. So my thoughts were that it was pretty cool how you got involved with all this stuff, and why is she wearing a onesie?
Who knows?
Right.
Oh, man, they're comfortable, okay? They're comfortable.
I'm going to start wearing them at job interviews.
Okay.
See if we can do that next season of Haunted Hospitals. I've just put on a onesie for the interview scenes.
Okay. Okay, so now here's a tough one. That's not really tough for me, but maybe for you. Real bacon or the fake bacon that is turkey bacon?
Obviously real bacon. No debate.
Thank you. Okay, horror or adventure movies?
Did you say horror or adventure movies?
Yeah.
That's a tricky one too. Probably horror movies.
Okay. Pizza or tacos?
Pizza.
Xbox or PlayStation?
Xbox, all the way.
Okay. Winter or summer?
Winter. Makes me feel like I'm at home.
I hate winter. Snow's too cold.
Yeah,
soda or pop?
Oh, soda, definitely.
Oh. Okay. What were you going to say? Sorry.
I was going to say winter because you can always put more layers on, but you can only take so many off when it gets too hot, you know?
I know, but, like, I can deal with heat, but, like, once I get cold, I'm like, I want to die. Can I just go home now?
Look how cold it is at Malvern Manor at night.
I know. I've been there at night. That's why I have my onesie. Keeps me warm.
It is freezing in that place. Anyway.
And that's why I have onesies. Ghost hunter or ghost investigator? Which one do you go by?
I don't care. I know there's the whole thing about paranormal investigators versus ghost hunters versus whatever. I think ghost hunter is thanks to the show Ghost Hunters. That's what almost everybody thinks now. So why fight the tide, right?
To be honest, I go by ghost investigator just because, like, when I think I ghost hunter, I just picture in my mind like somebody running after a ghost with a gun. Like,
what's kind of interesting though is ghost hunter is a term that goes back far before the show, and it did go back to the golden age of the first ghost hunters. So, you know, it's just something that is associated forever with the media now.
Yeah. All right. So ice cream or custard?
Custard. You can warm it up.
Okay. Favorite Star Wars character?
Oh, favorite Star Wars character. My wife's hands down is Kylo Ren. She's a huge Kylo Ren fan. For me, has to be Han Solo, even with his bad parenting skills.
Wow.
What, too
Darth
soon?
Vader does not approve.
You know what? He didn't have great parenting skills either.
I know, but he's a villain, you know? You know, like, he at least tried.
He was the villain till the
tried.
end, not at the end.
Yeah, I know. He was like, Luke, I love you, you know, and he was like, okay, until he just passed away, sadly. Rest in peace, Darth Vader. Rest in peace.
Spoilers for anybody that hasn't seen Return of the Jedi, which came out in 1983.
Okay, so who is your favorite superhero?
Oh, Batman, hands down.
Okay, if a movie was made about you in your life, who would play you?
There's a guy that plays me on Haunted Case Files that looks like Steve Carell from The Office. So that guy, I like his style.
Okay. What is your favorite hobby?
My favorite hobby, reading. Have to be reading. It's my favorite thing to do.
Okay. Residential or commercial investigations?
Residential ones have gotten a little trickier these days, I think. So more kind of historic building, you know.
Okay. Now here's a hard one. Are there human ghosts underwater?
Well, how many people die underwater?
Like, think of the Titanic, you know?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. It's something that I've never, ever thought of before. I don't know. Jury's still out.
Research.
Yeah.
Maddie in scuba gear with the K2 in a Ziploc bag.
Good luck taking a K2 underwater, huh? Even in a Ziploc bag.
True. Okay. Well, let's see your time. Unless my phone does not want to lock, okay? I'm going to take like 6 seconds off, so that would be... Okay, I'm not good at math, okay? I'm trying.
We have 8 minutes left per the clock.
Okay, that would be 6 minutes, 12 seconds, and 74 milliseconds. Got it. Are you proud of me, Dad? I did math, if you're listening.
Zero.
I know. It exists. It exists. I swear to gosh.
Just like Bigfoot.
It exists. Well, yeah, he exists too, but, you know, -0 has to exist. I swear. Let's see, what was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So, we went to the store today. Why can't I English? Why? Okay. We went to the store today to look at the old Ghostbuster figures from the real Ghostbusters cartoon, okay? I was like, Dad, can you do the math? Sure. What's 7 plus 7 and what's plus 7? 28. Thank you. I was stuck on there. I'm like, I spent like a minute just standing there, and then I was like, Dad.
Yeah, math was never my strong point either in school, and I wish I tried harder at it.
Good luck with that. Like, my teacher, she tries to help me, but I'm the one who believes in -0, so.
She's got to work it out for her, huh?
Yeah, good luck with that. Not gonna say her name. Miss Blank. Miss Blank Blank. Yeah.
Hey, Miss Blank.
Hey, Miss Blank. Yeah, she's gonna be surprised that I even, like, mentioned her name, Blank Blank, you know? Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, she's probably, like, I'm gonna freaking say that I mentioned her in my podcast, and she's probably gonna be like, oh, thank you, and then when she listens to it, wow. And now she's gonna know that multiple people are now knowing that -0 is something now, so, yeah.
So I feel like we've really achieved something with this hour, just with the whole -0 awareness thing.
Exactly! -0 exists. I legit have multiple theories on it. It exists. You know what? I'm going to have to write like a little book that just explains why negative zero exists and how I think it exists.
Good. The world needs more good books, little or not.
Exactly. Like, it's probably not going to be that good of a book, but hey,
Oh, don't sell yourself short.
Hey, it's going to be there. So people who believe in negative zero like me can, read it. They can be like, wow, facts, And then my teacher is going to be even more disappointed. So, yeah. All right. Well, I'm starting to see the Shadow Man rounding the corner, telling me that our time is almost over, sadly. I would really like to thank Richard for taking time out of his busy schedules to come on and chatting with myself and my listeners here on Spoopy Talk. So you have a great night.
You too. What are you going to do with the rest of your night?
Eat, sleep, little kid stuff.
Fair enough.
I'm just going to kind of sit there because I have school tomorrow and,
That's right, it's a school night. I got to catch up with the new episode of Doctor Who, finish Dracula on Netflix, and I'm going to sleep too.
Good job. Okay. So now for all my listeners out there, I would really like to say thank you for being with me tonight. My next show will be on January 19th, and I'll be having the caretaker of Velisca Axe Murder House as my guest of John Hauser.
Johnny Hauser. Yeah.
Johnny or John Hauser, either way works.
Just call him
sure
Sir.
Sir Hauser is going to be on my next
Mr.
thing.
Hauser.
Mr. Hauser. I don't even know why I don't even know anymore. And I don't even know. I can't English today. I still believe that negative zero exists. I'm mentally questioning my life right now. What have I got myself into, really? Okay. Back to my outro. Okay. Make sure if you're not following me to give me a follow at Madison Paranormal Investigation on Facebook and Maddie_Paranormal_Investigation on Instagram. So for tonight, peace, love, and happiness. And most of all, be spoopy, everyone.